Welcome to today's session of Core ICT. Today's topic is information systems. In the previous lesson that we had, we discussed what information and data and communication technology and then ICT, what they were. And then we also learned their definitions as well. So you should be able to give us, if we say define what an ICT is, you should be able to define it for us. I think we also covered some of the sources of information, forms of information. We looked at the characteristics of information and so on and so forth. In today's session, it is expected that you will be able to learn through our discussions what an information system is. Then we would also discuss the information processing cycle. And when we are done with that, we'd also look at the computer as an information system. Then we would try and relate it to the activities, or we will compare the functions of the computer to, and then relate it to the general information processing cycle. Information system is also referred to as the computer system. So when you go and see computer system in one book, it is the same thing as the information system. What is a system? Let me use our human body to illustrate this. You have a head, and in the head you have your eyes, your mouth, and then your ears, you have your hands outside your head, then you have your tummy, you have your legs, and the other parts as well. Now, each of these parts perform their own functions. They have something they contribute on their own, but all these parts are put together. So what the eyes does, in a way, contributes to what the hands does. And what the hands does, in a way, contributes to the actions of the legs, right? So when all of these parts perform their functions or their roles, however distinctive they may be, their main purpose is for the general performance of the human body acting in a proper and sane way. So if, let's say, one part doesn't function properly, in a way the entire body doesn't work effectively and collaboratively and cooperatively as it should. Okay, so for instance, if your sight goes blind, it has a negative effect in a way on the rest of the body. It doesn't mean the rest cannot do their functions, but in a way they are affected, right? So that is a system. A system comprises different components with different functions that are put together for achieving a common purpose or a goal, or we can say for a common aim. So in the context of ICT, if we should extend it there, we can explain we can explain information system or computer system as being made up of can be defined as the components or elements that are involved in creating and sharing information. So you have various components that have various roles to play, and when they perform their roles, all these roles are geared towards creating information and then having the ability to share that information as well. It can also be defined as the components or elements that come together mainly for the production and distribution of information. That is, these elements or components work together so that we produce information that we distribute. Distribution means we share. Okay, so we distribute the information to other persons or systems that may require it. You know, there are 6 components of information system. Previously, it was thought that there were 5 components. No, there are 6 components. So if you see 5 components in a material, then it means there's one missing. The components of an information system are people, or what we also refer to as liveware. Then we have procedures. Then we have data or information. Then we have hardware. Then we have software. And then we have communication. So the components of information system are people or liveware, procedures, data and information, hardware, software, and communication. We will take each one of them one after the other. When we talk about people, you should know that people are people, human beings. Okay? They are the individuals who make use of the other how do you call it, other components. Okay, that is, they are the people who use the ICT tools and equipment and then to create and then share the information. Without them, the other components are irrelevant. Okay, they are very important, because one, they will first of all acquire the data for the other components to work with, and then when the information is produced, the information is also given back to them, and then if they so like it, they will share that information with other people. So people are very important component of the information system. We have 2 categories of people, right? We have 2 categories, and these categories are professionals, and then we have end users. The categories of people are professionals and end users. So you can have ICT professionals, or you can say computer science professionals, or you can say computer engineering professionals. Okay, then we have end users as well. So we have ICT end users. Okay. Let us discuss who a computer professional is. When we talk about a professional, we are referring to somebody who has a very deep knowledge and understanding of some area in ICT. Note that there are several, should I say, fields or sectors within the ICT. Okay, so you don't have the same group of people doing the same thing. No, you have different people doing different things. And these different people who are doing different things, some of them are the professionals. Okay, that these professionals will choose that, okay, I want a very in-depth knowledge and skills in this particular field, the field that he or she is interested in. So we also refer to them as experts. Now when you say somebody is an expert in something, it means that that person has a lot of interest in that thing, and then he has gained a lot of understanding or knowledge in that thing, and then he also has skills, very strong skills beyond the normal, or should I say ordinary person who uses the computer for basic things. Okay, and so he chooses a particular field and then he masters on that particular field to be, we normally refer to it as maybe a guru or something. So we can simply say a computer professional is a guru in some area within the field. All right, within the field, and then in general for ICT too. Now, after these persons, how do they gain these knowledge and skills? They will have to study. Okay, they will have to study. So they would have to attend a proper institution of training. Okay, they will have to attend a proper institution of training. They will go to school. They will teach them about that particular field. Then he will do practicals. Then he will gain the experiences. Okay, so a professional has both a theoretical understanding, that is the brain, and then you also have a practical training, that is the hands-on, right? So that makes him a professional. Then after he or she has been able to learn these skills and knowledge, then he has to prove that yes, I have gained this knowledge and I've gained these skills. And how does he prove it? He has to submit himself to some sort of examination or test. Then when he is tested by a recognized body, let's say for instance a university, or let's say a trade school, we'll come to those things later. Okay, so when they have been properly been tested, that okay, yes, if you say you have this knowledge and skill, come and prove it through these exams. So when he does prove that he has those, then his results comes out as positive, then he'll be given a certificate to prove that yes, this person has the skill and then this person has the knowledge. So for you to be a professional, you need to have both theoretical understanding and then the practical aspect as well. You can't leave any of them, or you can't use any of them as being a professional. You should have both. So somebody who has who goes to these wayside, should I say, people, and then they go there, they teach them how to remove certain parts of the computer, how to fix them on, and then those people cannot be considered as professional. Why? Because they have not gained any theoretical knowledge. Though they may have some level of hands-on skill, they also need the theoretical knowledge as well. And if they don't have that, they don't qualify to be called professionals. And they should also have certificates to prove that yes, they are professionals. Because if their normal certificates are given by institutions of high reputation, and within these institutions you have the strongest or experts with high levels of understanding who will train or who will assess the knowledge or skills of these people. So when these people say that, okay, yes, this person deserves to be called a professional, then it means, yeah, you have the full backing of authorities within the field to be known as a professional or an expert. Then, beside the professionals, we also have end users. Now, an end user does not need any technical knowledge. Okay? The professional is a person who requires technical knowledge about some field. Okay? Technical and in-depth. But for the end user, he does not need any technical knowledge and skill. Rather, he needs to have the basic knowledge and then skills in performing certain work that he does. Those works cannot be considered as technical. They are rudimentary, basic. Okay. Sometimes these end users also go for training, but the training will be on the non-technical parts. It will be on the areas where we consider as the basic ones. Then when they go for the training, they are also giving certificates, okay, to prove that, okay, these people have become proficient users within the ICT field. So, for instance, you have people who know how to use the computer to produce a document. So you go for, let's say, word processing training. Then when he is done, you'll be given a certificate. This does not make you a professional. This rather makes you what? An end user. Because it trains you in how to perform some basic activities or functions. And these are supposed to aid you in doing your work. Okay. Yeah, I think I have already explained this one too, so I don't need to go over it again. Then let's come to procedures. When we talk about procedures, we are talking about steps. We are talking about steps. Everything involves steps. Even if you want to learn, you follow certain steps. Probably you pick your books, go and find a cool and quiet place where you'll be able to absorb content. Then you sit there, you read, and you grasp your content, and so on. But all those are steps you take. Now, within the ICT world too, we also follow a lot of steps. Okay, human beings, we follow steps, and then the other components to also follow certain steps before they can produce the information for us to use and then share with other people. So steps are very important. At every stage you follow steps. If you don't follow certain steps, you may not get the right thing that you need. Okay. Then let's come to data and information. We have already looked at data and information in our previous session. But data and information, as explained, they are the facts and figures, ideas that are either acquired or produced from the angle of data and then from the angle of information. Right. Now, data plays a critical part of the information system because you require the data. The person will need the data, then information has to be produced out of the data. Okay, then we will use the data. So can we say it is the lifeline of the entire information system? Then we have hardware. When we talk about hardware, we are looking at the machines, okay, the equipment, the equipment that we use, okay, to produce the information, and then the equipment that we also use to share that information with other people. The machines, of course, must be electronic in nature. Every equipment involved in ICT must be electronic because we use a lot of electrical signals, and these electrical signals must go through electronic equipment. So that is it. Hardware refers to the electronic or machinery part or equipment of the information system. You can also refer to hardware as the gadgets that we use to create and distribute information. Then we come to software. Software works on hardware. Now, what software does is it tells the hardware what actions to take or what actions to perform in order to produce the information for us. And it also tells the hardware how it should share the information with other people for us. So in the first place, the people will give the instruction to the hardware through the software. Then the hardware will perform accordingly. Therefore, software refers to the electronic instructions, okay? Electronic instructions. You notice there's electronic in hardware, there's electronic in software. Alright. So they are the electronic instructions, and these instructions determine how the hardware would work as given by the people. You can also, I think I've explained this one too, so I don't need to go over it. They are the electronic instructions that determine how hardware produces the required information. I think you should notice something here. In the first place, the people will use the instructions to issue commands to the hardware. Then after the commands have been issued, then the instructions or the software would work on will tell the hardware how to perform its operations. Then the hardware would act accordingly. Let's come to communication. When we talk about communication, I believe we also discussed it in our previous session. This component is responsible for the transfer of information from a defined source to a defined destination. Okay, so the information, we have gotten it now, then it has to be sent from one place to another, or from one person to another. Now, the component of the information system that allows this activity to take place is the communication component. So you know the components of the information system now. Let us come to the information processing cycle. The information processing cycle is defined as a series of operations that are performed to transform data into information and share the information with other people as well. So note that the cycle involves operations, hence the word processing, activities that are performed. And these activities are all concerned about the creation and sharing of information with other people. These operations are performed by the components of the information system. Okay, they are performed by the components of the information system. So we will look at these processes as well. These operations are performed in an information processing system. There's a difference between information system and then information processing system. You may be a bit confused here, but let me explain. An information processing system refers to a set of gadgets put together. Okay, a set of gadgets put together to process data into information. So for instance, the calculator is an information processing system in a way, because you can compute for a mathematical results, isn't it? Then nowadays you can also store the results on those calculators too. Okay, so the calculator has different components and they work together, but the entire calculator becomes the information processing system, because it will require for you to give the data and then it will work on it to give you the results. And we also have the computer as well. Computer too is an example of an information processing system. I hope you get the clarity now. Information processing cycle has 5 main operations. These operations are the input operation, then we have processing operation, then we have storage operation, then we have output operation, and then finally we have communication operation. If you remember, operation refers to what? Activities or actions. Let us look at the input operation. So the first step in the information processing cycle is the input operation. At the input operation stage, what happens is, first of all, data is given to the information processing system. In our case, we would choose computer. So first of all, the data is fed onto the computer or the calculator, if we should say. It is fed into it. You give the data to it. In other words, input operation is performed when data is accepted into the information processing system. The data is given by the user or the people. Then the information processing system will take that data and then do whatever it has to do to it. So after data has been entered into the system, then we move on to the processing operation. At the input operation stage, certain actions will be performed. Later you will learn what those actions are. But certain things will be done to our data. Then when those things are done, they are passed on to the processing operation stage. Okay, and this is where our data is changed into the information we want. Okay, so based on the instructions given through the software, the processing operation will be performed, and then the outcome or results will be the information. Then we come to the storage part. The storage part is simply referring to the stage where our information that was produced at the processing stage, after they have been produced, the storage operation will be performed in such a way that that information will be stored somewhere. Okay, it will be kept somewhere so that whenever we need it for future usage, we can easily go there, we can easily go for it and then use it. So the third stage of the information processing cycle is the storage stage, because then it takes the information from the processing operation stage. Then we come to the output stage, and this is the stage where the person who fed the data at the input operation stage will now get the information that has been produced out of the processing stage and has been stored. Okay, so now he gets to see that, okay, oh, this is the result of what I asked the system to do. Okay, then that will be, it can be in the form of something that you can see, or it can be in the form of something that is heard in our ears. Depending on the kind of input that you gave. So if you give the input in the form of sound, it is mostly expected that the outcome would be in the form of sound as well. That is, if you give the data in the form of sound, not the instructions. Okay, there's a difference between data and instructions. Instructions tells what the information processing system should do, but data is the thing that has to be worked on. Okay, that has to be worked on to produce a result. I believe you get the difference now. Then we come to the communication operation, being our fifth stage of the information processing cycle. Here, now you have access to information produced and stored. If you so desire to pass on the information to other people, then you would need the communication operation. Now, when you pass on that information that has been produced out of your information processing system to another system, when it gets to that system, whatever you give it now becomes that system's data. So if you give it to a person, that person would have to now also process what you've given him or her through a new system to deduce the information he needs. So let's say, for instance, we are here, then I get to know that there would be, which one would be more simple? Well, as an example, let's say you have to attend a class at a science resource center outside your school, right? Then I send an email, okay, telling you about that lesson in that other school. When you receive it, you read it. Then as you read, you try to make understanding of it. Then, okay, first of all, your machine will receive it, turn it into a form, it understands, blah, blah, blah. Then it will give it to that person. When that new person has received it, then you also chooses to pick the most important part out of it and then use it for whatever he wants to use that for. So you see that from one information system to another system, that information turns out to be data to that new system. Then that system will have to perform the actions or operations we have already talked about here. That is why we say it is an information processing system, as we discussed. I think I've already explained this. When the user using the other system receives the information, it becomes data to him. He then takes relevant data and allows that IPS, that is a new system, to reprocess it. The other operations follow till the new information is sent to another user. Hence, we have the system. So this is a graphical representation of the information processing system. So first of all, data is sent in at the input stage. Okay, this is our data, and then it is given in here at the input stage. Then some conversions are done. When they are finished, then they are passed on to the processing stage. Now, when the processing medium receives the data, it will first of all send the data to the storage. Okay, it will first of all send it here. That is how you have this arrow. Then after it has sent all the data to the storage stage, then it will pick data one after the other to process. So after processing each data, then the data would be the now processed data, or what is known as the information, will then be passed back again to the storage. And then after it has been sent into storage, then it is showed, or it is brought out at the output stage. If you remember, I said it's not every data that is shown. It's not every information that is shown, but some are also given in the form of sound. So at the output stage, the information is given out to the user, and if the user so likes, he will then communicate to another person through another information processing system. So once it is passed from one system to another system, then you notice that it goes back again to input. So the information comes here again, and as it is being passed on, it becomes data again. Then data is passed on. Then once it comes to the input of the new system, it still remains data, and then it has to be certain conversions are done again. Then they are processed and stored and passed on, and so on and so forth. So I hope you understand the concept better now. Let me leave you to observe the illustrations for some few moments, and then when we are done, we will continue. Alright, so let's proceed. Now, the computer, we say, is the most important information processing system. Computer cannot be compared to calculator cannot be compared to the computer, and there's no other known device or set of devices that can be compared to computer. So far, it is the most powerful, the most important of all information processing systems, and the computer can perform all the operations that we have already discussed in the information processing cycle. Note that there are other devices or set of devices that can perform some of the processes or some of the operations. Okay, but it's not all of them, all the operations that can be performed by the other information processing systems. Okay, but for the computer, I can perform all the operations. So first of all, you have your data here. Then data is entered. If let's say it is in the form of text, it is entered or typed on an input device. We look at devices later on. Okay, then it is passed into this what you should know as the system unit. Okay, inside your system unit you have storage and then the processing being done here. Then once they are done, then it is displayed for you to see here on your screen. Then, as I said, you can choose to then share with another. Okay, when you share with that person, the person takes it, then he modifies it to suit what he wants. So he can make changes by adding certain things to it or taking certain things out of it through typing or whatever. Or he may not type, but he may read something from it and then type his own thing. Then the procedure or the processes or operations then carries on. So that is how your computer works as an information processing system. In our lesson for today, we have discussed, and I believe you have understood, that an information system is made up of 6 components, and these components, as we explained and defined them, were or are people, procedures, data or information, hardware, software, and communication. We also learned that there are operations that the components of the information system perform so that information is produced and shared. You learned the input, processing, blah blah blah, operations. Alright, and these, they are given here. These operations are input, processing, storage, output, and then we have communication. Alright, so that ends our lesson for today. If you have any questions, then you can ask them